Hey everybody, welcome back to another Nature's Always Right episode with Stephen Cornett. Today I want to get deeper into my pigs to give you a lot more information about why I think that you should raise your own pigs as well. I think they're the new chickens, at least to me. I mean, they're just so easy to take care of, and the benefits of them are incredible. So what I want to show you today is a bunch of different things. So how I'm using them to disturb the ground, to drop their manure and urine to fertilize, to plant a cover crop behind them. And you can actually see that difference behind me. Here is where my cover crop's coming up. This is where the pigs are right now, their current pen where they're disturbing the ground. And I'm gonna show you how I cast this cover crop, how I'm setting up my fencing now, kind of my opinions on my little experimental fence versus the electric netting style and what I think is superior. And I'm gonna show you what it was like to move my pigs for the first time. So why am I doing a cover crop here and why am I so excited about the pigs? Well, look at the work that they can do. They're preparing land for me, they're helping me put in the cover crop, they're fertilizing the ground, and they can do a lot deeper work than what, say, a chicken could. Each farm animal has its role in how it regenerates the land, how it spreads manure, how they can decrease parasite and fly loads on the land. So using them for their right context is really key. And for me, I wanted to use these pigs to help fertilize this forest, to clear out any undergrowth. They're gonna dig up with their noses little roots, the plants that are coming up, so that I can keep this area of my woods very cleared out and open to let in some pasture grass that I can plant. And now this provides roots, carbon's being sunk into that soil, making it healthier, and will allow this area that they disturbed really heavily. When it rains, a bunch of the topsoil is not going to run off. So it's erosion mitigation, fertilization, it's a food source. When this barley and the cover crop gets higher, now I can rotate some chickens through here, give them more feed and food. So there's just so many amazing things that these animals can do for you beyond the meat. And I'm telling you guys, the meat from a regenerative raised pig, I taste and feel the most difference out of any other regeneratively raised animal I've had. I've eaten all the different types of farm animals that have been raised to like the highest standard, and the flavor of the meat, the fat, the color of the meat, everything is just beyond. You know, my favorite cut of meat on a pork chop now is when it's 50-50 fat and meat, muscle. And the fat just melts in your mouth. You just can't believe how good it is. And animals raised this way have far higher levels of vitamins, minerals. The fat content is way healthier. It's just really incredible the amount of value that they can bring to your land. So if you're open to raising a little bit bigger animal, I would hands down say pigs are the next thing after chickens. And then you could raise them in a really small area. So I wanted to mention this, raising them in a KNF, Korean natural farming style piggery, which is a deep mulch style inoculated with lactic acid bacteria and IMO. If you just had like a 12 by 12 area you wanted to raise 2 pigs in for your family, that's a super easy, really efficient way to do it without electric netting. I'm using the electric netting because I want the benefit of disturbance and fertilization throughout my woods and clearing and opening up land for me. If you don't want to do that or don't have the space to do that, you can just raise them in a small enclosed area, and they do well in that as well. Obviously, you know, I think that this is the superior model as far as giving them the best life, the most wide range of nutrition that they would find naturally in the wild. So that's why I prefer this, but there's nothing wrong with doing the KNF style piggery. And that's what I would do if I was just gonna be in a contained area. So right before they left this paddock, about 3 days before, I cast out a cover crop seed, and that was a mixture of barley, and this was feed grade barley, so it's way cheaper. It's like 16 bucks for 50 pounds of barley. That was a great tip from my buddy Kyle at Forest Fed Farms. And then I mixed that in with a little bit of my True Leaf cover crop mix seed that I recommend. It's a great little cover crop mix if you don't want to think about your cover crops just buy one ready to go. I'll put a link to that in the description. But I plan on using that in my garden as well. So I threw out a little bit of that as well. Just has like 8 different types of seeds in there. And then I let them stomp in. And that's something that really blew my mind when I visited a couple different farms that used pigs. They said they could use them to put in the cover crop. And I was like, whoa, really? They don't eat the seed? No, they don't really do that. So you cast it out, and over the course of 2-3 days, as they're walking around, they push the seeds in, and then they will germinate and, you know, get a pretty good germination ratio. So when you're casting your cover crop seed, you can get a little device that will shoot the seed out really evenly for you. And that's something I'm gonna purchase. But you can also do it by hand. All you do is you take the seed in your hand and have like a cup in your hand and just throw it. And it will spread out pretty evenly. Just keep walking nice and slowly as you cast. You know, I probably on this area used almost a 5-gallon bucket full of seed because I want to seed this pretty heavy. I want to get as much root structure and into the ground as possible. So the seeding density, I just kind of felt it out, and you can kind of see what I was left with on my previous area. So, you know, I just look around on the ground, see how many seeds are in an area. You know, I want 1 inch in all directions from any other seed. I wouldn't get the seeds any closer than that. I think that you'd be kind of overseeding at that point. And yeah, it's really not that hard. Just cast it out, trust in the process that the seeds are gonna germinate, and you'll be good to go. Another tip, do it before a rain. Every time I've cast the seeds, I've been trying to time it with a rain. That may not always be possible, but if you're able to, that is gonna really increase the germination success. So when you're doing the cover crop, another tip is to move their feed around every day. Move your feed bins to different locations so that it makes them walk in different areas to help push in that cover crop. After that, on that 3rd day, I opened up the pen to their new setup, which had pig netting already set up. Probably took almost all day for them to go in there. I had to put out food to coax them to come in there, but they're just very shy around they know their perimeter very well. And they know that there was a fence there, and there's a high likelihood that they could get shocked. Even though they can't see the fence there, they're still a little bit worried about it. And I'll put a link in the description to one of Joel Salatin's videos where his pig system is amazing for, you know, on a farm, super efficient, 1-acre paddock sizes, and the way that they use their door to make them more comfortable with going to the next paddock is really smart. So just for anybody out there, if you wanted some more ideas on how to do this. So then they go into the next section. They've been there now for a couple weeks, and depending on how much disturbance has gone on, and that's going to depend on if there's rain, how big of the area is, and all of that. What you want to do is try to prevent them from creating too much damage on the land. You know, if they're left on there for a while, they will really rip things up. You know, they'll put these moon craters, people call them, into the ground. So we're trying to avoid that. So once they start to do that, it's time to get them to that next area. So they have a fresh paddock to find acorns and all that good stuff to eat. So that's basically the process of moving them to the next pen. Now, one of the most important things to remember when you're setting up your electric fence is where's the entrance and where's the exit going to be, and planning that out for the future move. So here's my thoughts on this 2-wire setup that I showed in my previous pig video. I don't think that this makes sense for what I'm trying to do. I'm moving my pigs about every 10 days or so. So this movable 2-wire idea wasn't so bad, but the biggest problem is keeping the tension in between each step-in post. Maybe if I had tied a knot on one of the sides so it couldn't lose tension, so when I pull it out, it's perfectly even every time. But either the top or the bottom wire gets loose depending on kind of the angle of the step-in posts. So I was able to lay out, pick these all up in order to keep the ropes from getting not tangled, and then lay this out. But ultimately, I just think the pig netting is just so easy that it doesn't make sense. The 2-wire does make sense if you have a more permanent paddock setup, or if you have a pathway that the pigs move through to get to another section of paddocks. It'd work great for that. Or if you're just keeping them in one solid area and you don't plan on moving your pigs, then this is really good. It's super cheap, easy to set up. So that's that's where I think that this makes sense in context. For me, I'm not going to do this now. I think it also makes sense to use reels so that you can reel it back in. So you reel it out, string it up, and then when you're ready to move it, you just reel it back in and reset it up again. So it will just take longer than using the netting. Okay guys, so I'm standing in my new paddock. I just wanted to show you how I set up the next section of fence. I got my brand new pig wire here. So this is my new entrance into this area. So I got it set up, so all I have to do is move this. This is my new exit gate. They will go off into this next area that I still have to clear. I'm actually gonna have a forestry mulcher come in here and clear this next section and the future sections as well for my pigs. Now, the reason this is my only choice for my exit door is because there's a huge log from our pine tree that we cut that goes all the way down this way, and I'm just running my fence along that. So there's no other way out of this paddock other than this hole. So that's why I had to put my fence starting here and run it back along, and it stopped where it did. So I'm just showing you guys this so that you can just kind of understand more about the entry and exit point of your fence and just how to think about that. Okay guys, so here's how I set up my 2-line just to close this gap here that I had. I ran this whole 2-line from this reel. And I think that seems like the best way to do it using a 2-line system is to use a reel. So it's all one line, went down and around, came back. And then to connect it to the fence so that it closes the circuit, just use those little alligator clips that you can get from Premier One. This reel is the cheapest one you can get. It's okay. I may upgrade to like one of those really nice ones if I feel like I like using the reels occasionally. Alligator clip here, and now we're hot across the entire fence. Using the reel is pretty cool because now it's going to be really easy to put this little quick 2-line away. Okay guys, the pigs are asleep now. So what I'm going to do is open up the fence like I talked about, move all their food and water onto this side so that when they wake up, the only way they can get food and water is to come this way. It's okay guys, come on. It's okay. I moved the net for you. So you can see I got them inside just a little bit. Last time when I tried to pull the food on them, they would get scared and run away. So they're learning that they get moved. So every time I do this, they should get more used to it. They're already moving to the second batch of food, so this is a huge improvement from the first time I moved them. Okay, so we've got our fences all joined together. It's one circuit. It's all hot everywhere. And now they've got an incredible place to explore and enjoy. This one already rooting up the ground, searching for those acorns and other goodies. So here's a really good example of the difference between where they were to where they've gone. So you can just see how much work that they do to the ground.